starting off the main card of KC40, Kenji Grion versus Shahin Atamov in the welterweight division.
A welterweight clash between Samuel Ericsson and Alexander Bouderbane.
What a shot!
Gabriel Varga versus Edgar Skrivers for the #1 contender spot in the lightweight division.
First time in karate combat history, we have a belt unification. We have our champion, Joshua Quayhagen, versus the interim champion, RAFAEL.
Hello and welcome to Karate Combat 40 Preview Show. My name's Layla Machado Garry and we are joined by former UFC middleweight champion Luke Rockhold, UFC Hall of Famer Bas Rutten and Karate Combat President Adam Kovacs. I am so excited about the show that's coming up for several reasons, but we're going to dive into the main one, the bright shining star that everyone's very excited about. RAFAEL Aghayev fights on this card, heading the main event as well. He's going to be taking on the champion Joshua Quayhagen. Now, the last time we saw Aghayev, it was against Raymond Daniels in that absolutely viral fight that was unreal. Adam, on the night, how was it for you?
I mean, that was the last show of 2022,
yeah.
And we, couldn't end the year better than that show. And putting that fight together, Raymond versus RAFAEL, I think it was a little bit early. They didn't think it was happening this fast because we signed them a year before the fight, but we had to make it because it made a lot of sense. And a lot of people thought that Aghayev's never gonna beat Raymond, and they were, right in a way, but Aghayev proved them wrong.
Bas, Aghayev was wildly underestimated despite being the most decorated karateka out there. Now, do you think people are going to see quite how good he is?
Oh, 100%. You see, I thought the same as everybody else. I thought, okay, for sure, Raymond Daniels, I've been following this guy for such a long time, but I was completely wrong, and I think 90% of the people of the world were wrong. I think only the karatekas really knew what an incredible talent it is. And last time we were talking about this is also cool because I said, now we have the blueprint on how to beat Raymond, and he goes, but not anybody is RAFAEL Aghayev. That's
so
the thing
true.
here, so...
Luke, Raymond Daniels had the reach, he had the length, he had every physical advantage, but Aghayev had the experience, the strategy, the intelligence. Now we see Aghayev go in against Josh Quayhagen. What are your thoughts on the Karate King Aghayev?
I just had a brief chance to watch him, and I've seen some highlights of the Raymond Daniels fight, and just watching him warm up, and he's very sturdy. He's based, and his movement is clean, whereas like Raymond Daniels is very predictable. He's very straightforward, and he's got the kind of I like Raymond's style a lot, but it's a bit of a fairy style dance, and RAFAEL just works his way around him so clean. He re-stepped, got off line, and then took it to him and beat him to every spot like that. And he's got such good eyes. If you watch his eyes, the man's uber confident, which doesn't allow that hesitation. Hesitation kills a fighter. And I just don't see a doubt, no ounce of a doubt within his eyes and when his movement, which is the other opponent. There, I see a little doubt. I see a little question, and I think it always does really show true in the fight.
It's, as he mentions, no doubt, no hesitation, but also just this IQ that is insane in there. And in the karate pit, which is such a different space, now, though, he's not facing Raymond Daniels, he's facing Joshua Quayhagen, a man who's very comfortable in the pit as well, a man who does game plan and think things through. What can we expect from this main event?
I think a lot of people sleeping on Quayhagen because of, we've just seen what Raymond could do.
So the tables may have turned.
Yes. I don't know if they turned, but we've seen what Aghayev did to Raymond, and everybody thinks that probably Raymond could be better than Quayhagen. But Quayhagen is very confident in this pit, and he's durable. So he needs to probably get through the rounds, the first ones, and then the fight can go many ways.
Bas, if you were Quayhagen, what would your game plan be against a fighter like RAFAEL Aghayev?
Well, bring it to him. I think you really have to do that. And I think Quayhagen also has to start right away fighting. Quayhagen is kind of a slow starter, and he starts growing into the fight. And the more tired he gets, the stronger he gets. You know, like the championship rounds, he always wins those. I mean, he's always pushing and pushing, and he's got that blank stare on his face. And it looks like, what, is he not there? No, he knows exactly where he is. And he's attacking from every angle. I mean, punches, kicks, knees now without grabbing, of course. That's the rule here. But I think it's going to be much tougher for RAFAEL than people think it is. Because Quayhagen, like I said, you know, if I was his coach, I would say start fighting for round one immediately.
Fast.
Because they will never expect it, because he never did it.
Nice.
You know, so that's maybe a great tactic to get into that fight.
Luke, I have another question for you. When you're fighting against someone who's, you know, the favorite, someone who everyone's talking about, someone who's very exciting, because Quayhagen today said very clearly that Aghayev is the GOAT. I recognize him as the GOAT. I don't want to be the GOAT. I want to beat the GOAT. And I found that phrase so powerful and so strong. How do you get the right mentality when you're fighting someone that everyone else loves hugely and is excited by?
I kind of like his mindset, no doubt. I don't like the thought of not wanting to be the GOAT, because if you want to be the best, you want to be the GOAT. And never question yourself within that space. But then he pulls back and he says, "I only want to beat the GOAT." But it's a double-edged sword. But I think the biggest key is to put that out the window and to move forward with stable, length and pressure. I think the biggest thing here is a lot of guys that they play that outside game so much, and that this forward pressure really shows and intimidates and conquers that distance. And because karate is such a touch game. And a lot of these guys come from that background. So being able to come forward with stable, strategic pressure. He's longer, and if he can come with the right pressure, I think he can do damage.
Let's remember Quayhagen's last fight with Luis. Everybody thought that Luis going to finish him in the first or second, third round. But Quayhagen didn't get finished. He went to the fifth round, and a lot of people thought that if there's one more round, back in the days we didn't have that rule, but if it was one more round, most of the people thought that he would finish Luis.
What does the future hold for these fighters? Because if Quayhagen was to beat Aghayev, that's a huge accolade to have underneath him. If Aghayev was to win, as is expected of him at this stage with the momentum of what's carrying, where does Aghayev's future hold as well?
I mean, what they said at the press conference, let's focus on this fight.
Yeah, smart. It's a big question to ask too.
Yes, it's a difficult one, but Raymond just won his fight at the last show, and he really wants that rematch. And he said he's even willing to go to Azerbaijan to do it. So that would be huge. But again, let's wait until tonight and see who's the better man, and then we can think of
Now
what's
we've
next.
got a #1 contender bout in the lightweight division. Gabriel Varga, former Bellator and Glory kickboxing champion, versus Edgar Skrivers. Skrivers, one of our former champions, a nasty fighter who's told us really not a lot in our fighter interview, except for the fact that he wants to smash. Now, Edgar is a fighter who keeps it simple, clean. Is this the right route for him, Luke, against someone like Varga?
Well, I'm familiar with guys from that side of the world that like to smash. And,
Yes.
and they seem to do pretty well in the smashing world. So, I've seen Varga fight, I think, before, and he's got more of a Muay Thai kind of style, more straight up. And it's bad. It's dangerous against a guy like Skrivers, right? How do you pronounce his name?
Skrivers.
Yes. I mean, because he's a pressure fighter, and if he creates angles, he can throw those angles off. Just not being there in front of a Muay Thai guy, it's so easy. Once you create different angles, and you come forward with the pressure, that Muay Thai guy is going to take a beating for the most part. And we'll see. If he can maintain those angles and that pressure, it really is the worst nightmare for a Muay Thai base, straight up, tall, lengthy fighter.
We've been hearing as well that Skriver's been training with Hamzat Chimaev. He's been training out in Dubai. He's been taking this camp really very seriously. What game plan would you sort of encourage from a fighter like him, keeping in mind that we know Varga watches fights like a Pep Guardiola of football? He really calculates. You almost want to come in someone very different to your last fight if you're going up against Gabriel Varga.
Varga is, I call him the surgeon, right? That's my nickname for him. He didn't have a nickname, but I think that's the perfect nickname for him,
Love
because
it.
From the black.
He's so accurate, I mean, he's all over the place. But he knows exactly what he's facing. And he's been a glory champion, Bellator champion. I mean, he fought the best guys in the world. He got a TKO one time, it was a cut, I believe. He's never been stopped, and the way he moves, he will stay outside his reach the whole time. This is the guy, when you go to the first Thai boxing or boxing class, they will teach you to keep your hand at your jaw, and nobody does it, right? Once we start fighting, he does it. I mean, every single moment of the fight, he will be in defense, always, while he's attacking. So his style is very hard to beat. I think from the outside, if he starts picking them apart, he might win this fight. And I'm a huge Skrivers fan, especially he comes from the Quayhagen background as well. He loves that. I love the way he talks, his interviews, everything. He's so stoic, I just mentally break him, nobody can beat me. I love that, and a little smirk on his face. I mean, he's a great fighter, but he better be learning to move in and out. If he only comes forward, he might be beaten. If he comes forward, but he comes in and out, that's going to be a different game.
This is a contender bout for the fight with champion Luis Rocha. Varga's openly said that he finds Skrivers a harder opponent than the champion Rocha himself. Your thoughts on that?
Yeah. So first we offered Varga the championship fight against Luis, but they weren't ready. Timing wasn't well. And then we said option B is to fight Skrivers. And then it was like, I put myself in a position where I didn't want to be in. But then, the title fight happened. And then I said, listen, you guys are the best in the division outside of the champion. You have to fight because we need the winner of this fight to face the champion. And he thought that Skrivers is the number one for whatever reason. He studies his opponents, and he said he would prefer to either wait and fight the champion than fighting Skrivers. But then he realized that this is his path if he wants to be a champion, to go through Skrivers. And then probably he sit down, watch those videos, and he said okay, let's do this.
This is such an interesting take on his character. I'd love to know what would that mean to you as his character, because he's coming off the back of glory in Bellator and his accolades. He could walk in here and take a title fight. Not many people would be surprised if that was what he went, but he instead is taking a bit of a route to understand the pit, get used to the smaller gloves, understand all that. What does that say to his character for you, Luke?
I think it's a smart move, for sure. It's a strategic go at it. Like he says, he's a tougher fight, but it's interesting how he presents that, because he's avoiding the title fight, but he says it's a tougher fight and the number one contender. So I don't really know how to take it.
Fighters are funny creatures, Luke.
Yeah, but I guess it's the pressure of the event, maybe what's what, and styles make fights, of course. And so if he thinks he's a shorter fighter and he's too straightforward, he can hit him with a big knee, hit him with stay on the outside and plays kicks. He's a long, accurate striker. So, I mean, in so many ways, I think he's playing to his favorables, and that's what I see.
Yeah, he's totally methodical in everything he does. Like if we were interviewing him, and he sits in front of his camera and in the background, and you look at his house, it's spick and span, and you guarantee you that if you walk in and you push your little face, you push it just 1 inch, I'll guarantee if he walks in, he will see it and he puts it straight.
Yeah,
so he's very meticulous in everything he does. So it's all part of the plan, I think he's a very smart guy who studies his opponents, and he just wants, that's his way to make a better career, I guess.
Yes. Precision, accurate, getting it all perfect.
Yep.
Then we've got two completely different characters in Alexander Bouderbane and Samuel Ericsson. These are two social media stars. They both love the camera. They're loving the build-up. They're creating such incredible content. If you haven't already seen it, jump on Karate Combat socials. It's all over there. They're playing on words. Like often we see fighters who everyone has a lot of respect for each other, but sometimes they have to fake a dislike in order to fight. Mm-hmm. And then here we have two guys who I feel like actually dislike each other, but they're pretending to be friends in order to get the media done. Yeah. It's a strange element between the two, isn't it, Buzz?
It is, but I really enjoy what they both are doing. I thought the mind game was really good also from Samuel Ericsson today coming up with the white belt because yesterday his opponent said, hey, you're just a white belt, and you shouldn't be here. I'm going to beat you. And I told him, I say, use a white belt, and then just tell him, I say, you better beat me because otherwise you're going to lose to a white belt.
Even more embarrassing then, isn't it? Yeah.
You see, and that puts a lot of pressure because those words can start haunting in your head, and you're going to go, shit, I better beat him. And there's nothing worse for a fighter than when you have to do something. It's like going to a fight and you need $80,000, but they only pay $40,000. And if you win, it's $80,000. All that pressure on you to win. But once you have that pressure, it's very hard to deal with. It's better to be pressure-free. And I think that's what he's doing right now. He's just hyping him up.
Now, Luke, in an interview with Baz earlier this week, Bouderbane and Ericsson sat down and they made a deal where they would only punch for the first round, only kick for the second, and then it's all go for the third. Everyone's been chatting about this all week. Should they have? Shouldn't they have? Will they really? Won't they really? Is it mind games? Who's going to throw the first kick? Are you going to be disappointed if they do? Or do you expect someone to throw a kick straight away and then say, you're an idiot for believing me? What are your thoughts on this pact that they've publicly made?
Yeah, these are both new characters to me. I would assume they were both coming to fight. Yeah. I had made claims back in the past where I was going to fight Bisping the first time, and I was like, I'm going to knock you out in the first round. Yeah. I'm going to knock you out in the first round. That's what I'm going to do. You want to bet $100,000? I was like, make the bet. And then he would never take the bet. And I was like, I remember this relief. I was like, just relax, forget about that, just focus on the fight. Because when it comes to fight time, all fights are fights. Yeah. And to be able to try to contemplate limiting your strategies in a real fight is not how your brain's really going to operate.
Yeah,
work.
And I'm also not pumped about, like them not just giving
I was going to say, what are your thoughts considering the rule set and everything?
It's not boxing.
Especially because Samuel is coming from a taekwondo background. Bouderbane is a really good kicker. And just go there and just do the best way possible. And, I don't like when fighters really talk about what they're going to do in the first round and the second round. Just you have to go there and try to finish your opponent in the first round. That's what we want to see. That's what everybody want to see.
Give it everything from the off.
100%.
Is this mind games, Baz? Or is this a little bit of Ericsson he was going to do a boxing match and half of his camp was firstly focused on boxing before he then decided, actually, I'm going to do this karate combat bout. It's far more important, and he made the right decision. But is this a little bit of maybe a laziness wanting to lean on the boxing for Ericsson?
No, I don't know, but I think it's a dangerous game to play. Like for me, you say this to me, I will only box. I will try not to break the rule. But if you're used to boxing and you do 2.5 minutes, you're getting boxing, and suddenly he decides to throw a head kick while you don't expect it. He's breaking the pact, but we're still fighting under all the rules. So it's kind of, you see, so I wouldn't take a bet like that. I would love to see it, especially because they're phenomenal kickers, both of them. So round 2 is going to be insanity. I mean, we'll see flying freaking kicks.
Hopefully round 1.
I don't want to wait for round 2. Yeah, I don't want to wait for round 2 for that. Tell me a little bit, Luke, about as well, the control, because Bouderbane said something quite, I don't know if I find it strange or not, but he said he doesn't know if he can even control the kick because when he's amongst the punches, he might throw one anyway.
Yeah, I think that'll tell you exactly what's going to happen. I think he's more of a showman, and I think he's going to put on a good fight in the beginning from what I've seen. But I think Ericsson's going to be there for the long haul, and if he doesn't get caught, I think he's going to come after him pretty nastily. I just see a showman. You know what I mean? And I see a tough guy. He's going to be powerful at the beginning. He's going to give. But I think if Ericsson can get through to him, I think it's his night.
I think also, it's like Mike Tyson always said, right? Everybody has a game plan until they get hit.
Punched in the face,
And this is the thing, if you only do boxing and suddenly he gets dazed, you might start throwing kicks right away.
Yeah.
Yeah, but also, if you're in training camp, you're putting combinations together, right?
Yep.
Which, sometimes if you're doing a good job, then you don't think and they come out, right? So if they were only doing combinations for boxing, then obviously he's not going to kick. But if, the camp went into kicks and takedowns and more, then, it's going to be hard to hold back.
Those are just...
It takes time to build instinct. Instinct is instinct, and so you have to build that through consecutive weeks in camp. And if you're consecutively kicking in camp, you're going to be kicking in here.
I'm looking forward to see what's thrown in the first round there. Those are just the 3 fights at the top of the card. We've also got some groundbreaking changes. Tell me a bit about Yo Mahihara.
He's our very first Japanese fighter, which is strange from a karate league, you could say. We did sign a few karate guys from Japan before, but for whatever reason, it's very rare that Japanese fighters step outside of Japan and fight, even if, like when they sign the paper, when it's time to show up, something comes up with the manager, with the organization they competed in before. So we're very, very happy and excited to see Miyahara to fight in the pit first. He is very experienced in fighting full contact. He's coming from a Kyokushin background, so that's another element we're excited about. But he's not going to have an easy time because Leo Valdivia is a very worthy opponent. He did bare knuckle before, comes from a sport karate background, and what I'm hearing that he had a good camp, very tough gym. So that's going to be a very exciting fight.
I'm looking forward to that one. Any other picks on the card or fighters we should look out for, Baz?
Marcel Ritter from Germany. Yes. I think that guy's going to do really well. Training with Niki Holske. They always talk about me and my liver shots, and he's the body liver shot guy. And I go, Niki Holske is kind of, because this guy drops everybody. He'll 2 or 3 times more people dropped with body shots than I did. So, it's from the same camp. I'm a little biased here because I used to train there as well. But I know that all these guys are the Dutch-style kickboxing. It's really tough. And he knows with Henry Hooft also training. It's a different animal. And once you train with a guy like Niki, that's going to be good. So Callaway, his opponent Kai, is going to be in for a surprise. But he's also, last time he was very emotional, and he said, I lost all control, and they really focused on that. And he's got his length, his reach, and he's a very good fighter, so he might keep him away from him. But, you go with a camp where everybody thinks trains for glory competition, you go like, yeah, probably he's going to win. So Marcel Ritter, I think.
And opening the card, we have Maximo Nunes versus Damien Villa. Tell us a little bit about Damien, because he's trained in one of your gyms, I believe.
Yes. He came down. He was a Taekwondo background, Olympian. He's got that flash, that flexibility of those kicks. But it was 2 on his toes, and so really that kind of solidifying his stance and coming in and being able to work off his back foot, I think was a big key for him. He's been in there. He's shown a lot of improvements. I've seen each fight. He's really come a long ways. So I think he knows the game better and better. I think every time he gets out there, I see more and more of him. I don't know too much about we have here Maximo, but he actually had a brief chance to talk with him, and he came in and he trained at my original gym, AKA. So he came by and wrestled and got some wrestling with Cormier, and you can see the pressure. He's a stocky man, and I heard he likes to, come forward, the kick and the overhands, and do his thing. So it's going to be tough for Damien if he could move straight backwards. He can't move straight backwards. He's got to create angles and then come forward. I think that play of being on your back foot and being on your toes and not being solidified to be able to deliver powerful strikes has been his problem. So if he can stay centered on his back foot but create angles and then come forward, that's the key. If he comes backwards on his toes, it's going to be a tough night.
Now, Luke, I know that you've been to one of the early Karate Combat events, and then on tonight's show, you're going to be on the commentary panel alongside Baz and Josh Palmer. Tell me what excites you with Karate Combat.
I think it speaks for itself. I mean, you're getting guys from so many different walks of life, and it's the pit. It's a different presentation of fighting that you've never seen, and it's like it's open, but it's dynamic too. It's not shut off. It's more viewable to everybody, and it's more creative in so many ways too. You can't really work off a cage and like jump too much. It's a little bit compromising, but you present these angles and these traps everywhere you go, and so I do love the style of it and the brief time on the ground where it's more of an action-packed event. When I first came, it was like, it was on the docks, and we had the Rolls Royces pull up. It was very blood sport. It was very gruesome. It was really cool event, and I was hooked from then on. It's martial arts at its origination.
I wanted him to be closer to the pit.
Yes.
One step closer.
You're slowly pushing him in, edging him in.
Yeah, when I heard he's a free agent, slide into his WhatsApp and said like, it would be super exciting to see you compete in a pit.
See, so having Rockhold here is really just on the commentary panel is really just flirting with him, trying to get him into the pit.
No, we like him. He's a good dude. He can punch and kick pretty good. So, but you know, like he called out Machida immediately. So, I don't know.
Called him out. I think I called him out and put him down years ago, but you know, I wouldn't be opposed to doing it again. You never know.
Have you walked around inside the pit and felt that space? Because it's really special.
I had a chance, and it is definitely, it's interesting, it's special, and that's what I'm looking for, you know, special events.
Yeah.
And that's where, you know, I've come to that point in my career. It's like I want special events and special fights that are different, and I can keep changing the game. And so
Well, you mentioned...
I'm going to get a good feel. I'm going to get a good feel tomorrow night, I think.
Yeah. You mentioned changing the game. I often talk about Karate Combat as being the most open-minded and fast-evolving promotion there is out there of any fight sport.
Yeah.
I remember the shock in my first day when a referee made a very controversial decision, and in my ear they quickly checked with Adam, is it okay? Can we ask that referee why? Live on camera now. And they said, yes, go for it, Layla. And I was like, wait, they've just said yes? Surely that wasn't normally going to happen.
Yeah.
And we turned around to the ref straight after we made the decision. Said, well, why did you do that? What did you see? Why? And I was like, this is brilliant.
That's actually amazing.
It's brilliant.
Can we do that with the judges too?
Yeah.
Why did you make that score?
This last week on the app, we've been voting on the split decision rule. We've had the extra round. And we've had that extra round happen before, but never quite because of a split decision. Explain to us properly, because I think you'll word it better, what's happening, because that's coming into effect now.
Correct. So before, the rule said that if we go into the split score when the fight is over, then the judges have, they can tick a box. And if out of 3 judges, 2 tick the box, then we go to the extra round. And we had this for a while, and you know, whenever we had an extra round, those were the best fights. So we went to the commission and said, like, can we do this where if it's a split score after the last round, can we do automatically another round? And they said yes. So we put that in the rule set, but we asked the token holders who are part of governing the league if they want this new rule, and they did say yes. So
97%.
yeah, I mean, but it makes sense, right? Because
no more split decisions, Buzz.
Yeah, finally, let's fight it out. I always like the sudden death round. You know, that's what it's all about.
The championship rounds is what they are.
Yeah,
I mean,
but now
the end of a fight, the end of a fight.
round.
But the end of a fight is the winner of a fight. In a hand-to-hand combat on the street or anywhere in the world, it's like whoever is winning at the end is going to win the fight.
Yeah.
So if a fight is close, why would you ever let it end? You want to see the guy who's going to be able to take him to the brink of death.
Yeah.
You know, this is not exactly the real world, but you know, you want to see who's going to prevail on top and who's the better, more bad.
At the more heart, more stamina.
Yes.
Yep.
And that's the heart is it's a beautiful thing when it comes out.
Yeah.
No more split decisions. The first ever unification bout, a #1 contender fight. It's all happening on Karate Combat 40. Thank you very much.